for 8. And Somerset 32 for 1 will resume 184 behind. A very good morning to Stephen Lass.
Yeah, good morning, Paul. I was rather expecting there would be a wicket in that difficult session yesterday evening, and it transpired that Azhar Ali got a good ball, had to play at it, and a little nick through to the keeper. But the night watchman, Tim Greneville, came in, did his job in a sterling manner, and he's the onlooker at the moment. He saw the day out yesterday, and Tom Abel is on strike. Jamie Porter will continue from where he left off yesterday evening.
He's close end, no less. The end that I always say, if Porter continues to have the success he has so far in his 5-year career in first-class cricket, they might rename it the Jamie Porter end as he comes thundering in. Bowles, what a good delivery, first up right on the mark, and Abel had to play at that. Fortunate not to get the edge. It was after being dismissed by Porter on this ground 2 years ago, the year Essex won the title, that Marcus Trescothick, no less, described Porter as the most difficult man to face he'd faced all season.
And it could be difficult batting out there. It's humid today and overcast. There's a possibility of rain as well, round about midday.
So, get your max out, as here is Porter in. Bowls to Abel. Abel not off the middle of the bat, but perfectly safely the backward point. Ravinder Bopara. 32 for 1 is the score on the board.
Polly Rhodes, the Somerset scorer, has got a pretty reliable radar, which she showed me just 5 minutes or so ago, which shows rain coming up from the south and liable to hit us around midday. But we're not sure. It might move.
Well, let's hope Polly's wrong, but I fear she may be right. You wouldn't be surprised just for the feel of conditions here. As soon as I opened my back door this morning, I thought, gosh, it's like a Turkish bath outside. As Porter's in, 3 slips a gully. Bowles, and that one is an away mover. Leg cutter, and Abel can wave it on its way through to Adam Wheater. No addition to the score. I'll be going into the BBC Essex 11 o'clock news presently.
It was muggy yesterday, but even more so today.
Yep. There is, to be fair, there is a nice gentle breeze. It's not sort of completely airless, but as Stephen says, it is also distinctly muggy. And Porter prepares to bowl again to Tom Abel. And Abel gets in behind this one. Gruneval rather overbacks up. Tenderskada shies at the stumps at the bowler's end. Gruneval has got back into his ground. The throw is successfully backed up by Peter Siddle, who missed the game against Hampshire. We think more a case of his being rested than being injured. And the score is 32 for 1, and we're in the 17th over of the innings.
Yeah, a little bit similar to the situation with Craig Overton, as I found out last night.
Ah, right.
I'll come back to that after this ball.
Yes, please do, as Porter into bowl. And decent delivery, played out into the covers, fine stop by Bopara, diving to his right at cover. It probably wouldn't have been a run anyway, because Tenderskada was backing up behind him, but 32 for 1 remains the score.
Yeah, Craig Overton strained his groin in the previous match at Canterbury a fortnight ago. He would probably have been fit to play in this game, but they decided, because there's a whole raft of games coming up, to give him one more game off. That was the thinking.
Yeah, good thinking as well. And Porter's in. Bowles, and this ball played. Oh dear, shocking misfield by Dan Lawrence. I'm sorry to say that, because I'm a fan of Dan Lawrence, but that really, there was no excuse for that. He, I think, was looking up before he got the ball in his hand. It just went under his hand in the gully, and a single is conceded, and it means that Abel keeps the strike. 23 to him, 33 for 1, and well, a slapdash start to the day from an Essex point of view.
Yeah, well, it's gifting Somerset their first run of the day.
Absolutely.
And enabling Tom Abel to keep the strike.
One of those things, Stephen, where there will have been a reason for the misfield, but no excuse. The reason will have been that he was sort of looking up to see if they were going to go for a run, but hadn't looked down to pick the ball up first. You have to sort those priorities out. I do sympathise with him one way, in that you do want to keep an eye on what the batsmen are doing as well if you can. Siddle is going to bowl the second over of the morning. Bowls to Abel, turns him round and comes off an leading edge somewhat, but all along the ground to Bopara at point, no run.
Yeah, he bowled a 7-over spell with the new ball yesterday, Peter Siddle. Just relieved by Simon Harmer for the last over of the day. And no surprise to see him back on, the miserly Australian.
Indeed. 4-6 for Essex rather than 3 in a gully. As Siddle comes in, river end. Passes umpire Nick Cook, bowls down leg side, and that's gone through for 4. Somethings. Leg buys, Nick Cook quickly into action, raises the left leg. He is a left-handed man. 37 for 1. Stand by, going into the BBC Essex News. A very good morning, Tom, and a rather sloppy start for Essex. They conceded a run through a misfield in the gully by Dan Lawrence from the last ball of the first over this morning, as Somerset started out again 184 behind on 32 for 1. In addition to a run needlessly conceded, there's been 4 leg buys as well, as Siddle is currently bowling the second over of the morning. So Somerset have moved on to 37 for 1, 179 behind now. Fascinating day in prospect. This is a match between top of the table Somerset and third place Essex. If Somerset win, they'll probably go on and win the title. If Essex win, there'll be a real battle on the hand. 37 for 1. And just a ball that was allowed to pass through outside off stump. From Siddle, bowling to the Somerset skipper. And Siddle's on his way again. Bowls to Abel, again a long way down leg side. Radar not quite there yet for Peter Siddle. Score remaining at 37 for 1 with 23 to Abel. Groeneveld yet to face a ball this morning, yet to get off the mark.
Yes, critical game as you say, Paul, this with first and third. Somerset's next game is against the second place club, Hampshire, at Taunton. That's next week.
Well, I have to say I fancy Somerset for that one, because Hampshire here were very poor. It doesn't mean they will be when Somerset play them, but Siddle's in and bowls, and that ball goes through outside off stump, and there's a little bit of a play and a miss there from Abel. A much better delivery from Siddle. 37 for 1, but I was quite frankly astonished at the way Hampshire capitulated, I think is the right word, against Essex in the second innings. Really good players like Sam Northeast and Riley Russo got out in unbelievably reckless ways when they'd just come and were playing as though it was the last over of a T20 game. So here is Siddle in and bowls to Abel, taken on the pad, and they're going to scoot through for what I think will be a leg by there. Well, yes, indeed. 38 for 1. So, bizarrely, we've had a single from a misfield and 5 leg buys at the end of 2 overs this morning. Somerset have profited to the tune of 6 runs. They're now 38 for 1. But, of course, the reverse side of what I've said, Stephen, is that maybe there will have been a good talking to in the Hampshire dressing room and you know, learn from your mistakes. They will turn up at Taunton with a far more competitive attitude, but I think Somerset are more likely to last the course than Hampshire.
Well, he is hoping it would be a wonderful thing if Somerset could win the county championship.
Well, it will, and I think all neutrals, as here is Porter in, beginning the third over of the morning, Hayes close end, and turned into the leg side by Abel, 2 runs here. And he moves along to 25 as it goes more or less dead square, just a fraction behind square on the leg side. Long leg has to run round to retrieve. Aaron Beard scored 40 for 1. Abel up to 25. Yes, neutrals, because Somerset have never won the title, and I think are a popular county anyway, would be the choice of neutrals to win it. And even Essex supporters, if they couldn't win it, would say, well, let's have Somerset win it. It's their turn. As here is, and they played very well enough to deserve it. Here is Porter in. Bowls, driven 4 runs, I think. It's a chase for Ryan Tendescarver now. The ball tended to hold up approaching the boundary yesterday, and it looks as if Tendescarver has just got there to nick it back and save 1 run. 3 runs to Tom Abel, who's started well here, and despite Tendescarver throwing in from the long off boundary, it still goes over the wicket-keeper's head and has to be backed up the throw. The score goes along to 43 for 1, and there are 20 to Abel And Gruneval will face for the first time today, and we are a good 15 deliveries in. This will be to the morning's play.
Yeah, that was a good shot from Tom Abel. Crisp, off drive.
And if that had been the outfield for the Hampshire game, as it was then, that would have gone for 4. Porter's in. Bowls to Gruneval, digs out a Yorker, and looks to take a run to mid-on, but it's well fielded there by Siddle, and score remaining at 43 for 1. Essex have started just a little bit off the pace this morning with that misfield at the end of the first over, and I know you can't help in some ways conceding leg byes, but it's perhaps an indication that there's been 1 or 2 deliveries on the pads of the batsman rather than where you'd ideally want it, on or around off stump. Porter with 3 slips in the gully, Cook, Harmer, Wesley and Lawrence respectively. Oh, here's a good delivery. Porter for the second time this morning goes by the outside edge. First time it was Tom Abel, this time it's Tim Gruneval, 43 for 1.
Yeah, Tim Grunewald, who came in on the fall of Azhar Ali's wicket yesterday. There was a bit of a team talk at lunchtime yesterday in the Somerset camp. They didn't feel that their bowling had been completely up to scratch in the first session yesterday.
That was true as well.
And whatever was discussed, it worked.
It certainly did, yes. They were far more parsimonious, quite apart from taking a lot of wickets. As here's a bouncer from Porter that Gruneval, he may be night watchman, but he's made some decent runs in his time, and more importantly still, he's been involved in good late order partnerships that can make all the difference. So he knows what he's doing, and he wasn't in any way fazed by that delivery. Yes, going back to yesterday morning, there were a few gimmies to the Essex batsmen before lunch, and scarcely one thereafter. And that, of course, if you have a gimme or two, it makes a batsman relax more for the rest of the proceeding. Porter's in bowls, and quite a good delivery here. Good bounce through to Wheater, but Gruneval made no attempt to play at it, and he didn't need to. Cook and Harmer have a race to see who can get to the far end the quicker, and it is Cook who wins that. Now, there is a note of surprise in my voice. I can only think Harmer was being held up in the belief that the race would go on for at least another circuit of the ground here. 43 for 1 at the end of the third over of the morning.
And I'll wager he won it without breaking sweat.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the safest bet of it. No, there's been sterner tests than that, and he still hasn't sweated. Normally it's Cook and Wesley. You have a sort of slow race because neither is quick to get down to the far end to keep them amused and interested during the break between overs. Here's Siddle beginning the 4th over of the morning. 3 slips in a wide gully now and takes Abel on the pad. No appeal, and the score remains 43 for 1.
Yes, there's a lot of cloud over our heads. Quite muggy, as we were saying.
Yes, so far, Stephen, I wouldn't say the cloud is at all threatening.
No, it's quite high, isn't
it? There's none of the sort of cumulonimbus sort of cloud, a thick, bushy, watch out, I'm just about to aim for you sort of cloud. As those of us who are used to talking to the weather, as here is Siddle. In bowls, and we turn round here. That was a good delivery, leading edge, but all along the ground, down to Ryan Tenderscouter at mid-off. Skipper to skipper, 43 for 1.
Yeah, just hope that threat of rain doesn't eventuate. Possibility of it about halfway through this first session of the day.
Yeah, even if we do get a shower or two, the game's well advanced, and the forecast for the remaining 2 days looks pretty reasonable as Siddle is in. And bowls to Abel. A leave outside off stump. That was the away mover, leg cutter from Siddle there, but well left by Abel, 43 for 1. Apparently there's a band of potentially very heavy downpours that will come across during the night, but it's meant to clear the area by round about 8:30 to 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, which would give the ground staff a couple of hours to mop up, and thereafter there's no real rain other than just possibly the odd shower. That's the forecast today for Tuesday and Wednesday. As here is Siddle in bowls, and again it's well outside off stump. Again, Abel will have nothing to do with that. He's on 28. Gruneval yet to get off the mark, and it's 43 for 1. This is the 20th over.
It's a reasonable crowd in again. I know you get good crowds regularly here, Paul, as Somerset do at Taunton.
Indeed.
In the Championship.
Yes, opposite ends of the country, with Essex the most eastern county, and Somerset the most western, although Glamorgan could just about claim parity there, I suppose, as this next ball is pushed into the offside straight to Tender Scarter. There'll be no run, 43 for 1. And the two outposts, as it were, simply love their cricket and have a very strong membership. That means, that probably about a couple of thousand can almost be guaranteed on the gate because they've all booked up their membership well in advance.
Yes, and great to see some of the old-timers out on the field yesterday as well.
Yes, indeed. Essex had a parade of players who'd been involved in the first two successes the county ever had. Siddles in and bowls, and this ball is played back past the bowler. Chase here for Beard, racing back towards the straight boundary, but the ball, I think, is going to win. It's 4 runs, 47 for 1. Another nice shot from Tom Abel there, moves along to 32. The Siddle over ends, and a good start this for Somerset, 47 for 1.
Yeah, another lovely drive from Tom Abel. Beautifully timed. Didn't need to hit it hard, really. It was all the timing and driven straight. Azhar Ali was deprived of 4 runs with a drive yesterday evening that was marginally straighter and crashed into the middle stump at the other end.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be Porter to bowl now to Tim Grunewald. 3 slips, a wide gully. Ace close end bowls, and well kept down here by Grunewald. Was good bounce there from Porter. Bopara fields at point. Score remains 47 for 1. Somerset replying to Essex's 216 all out. No great alarms for the Somerset pair this morning, in spite of favourable bowling conditions, you would think. But I have said all along, judged on events of the last 2 years, the real test for Somerset will come when Simon Harmer gets the ball. I think he bowled from his usual river end, and it won't be all that long either as Porter's in bowls. Good delivery, good bounce. Grunewald came forward to that, and the ball bounced past the outside edge into the gloves of Adam Wheater, and score remaining at 47 for 1, and a huge proportion of the runs off the bat are down to the Somerset skipper, who's on 32 not out.
Yes, Grunewald took his bat inside the line of that, but I have a feeling it was after it had gone through.
Yes, I think that's right. 3 slips, gully, point mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and long leg. Standard field here as Porter comes in and bowls, and this ball is pushed into the offside. Grunewald backs up, Abel backs up, but it was Grunewald who played the shot into the cupboards. There's no run. Abel safely back into his ground. If anything, the light actually is a little bit brighter than it was when play started, and the score remains at 47 for 1.
Yeah, it is. No sign of the sun, but it is a bit brighter than it was a quarter of an hour or so ago.
The conditions are remarkably similar to yesterday, in point of fact, as Porter is in. Bowls to Grunewald. It's well pitched up, nicely driven. Peter Siddle at mid-on, position he normally inhabits, and score 47 for 1. Emails, we're all set and ready to receive your emails. essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk, or on Twitter feed at lam165. And my appalling memory has just about made it through the night to remember Stephen's address. If you'd like to tweet him, as here is the next delivery on its way. Porter bowls, and well left there. Left on length, I think, there by Grunewald, who calculated the ball would rise enough to enable it to go over the top of the stumps.
That was a genuine, unadulterated leave by Grunewald.
And Stephen enjoyed some signets on the River Cann as he was on his way in here today, if we're talking about twittering and tweeting, as here is Porter on his way in. 5th over of the day being bowled, 21st of the innings, and this ball's driven without timing, and even Tender Scarter has misfielded there. To give him some credit, I think it got an awkward bounce off a bare patch on an adjoining pitch, maybe I'm being too kind to him, but it hit his boot. And a stern schoolmaster would say, "Get your hands to it, lad, that's just not good enough." And
make a wall.
yeah, it is another Buckshee single that Somerset should not have been given. And Essex, as I say, just a bit lackadaisical the way they started this morning. And one should be, Dick Davis always says he makes no apologies for being a harsh judge of fielding, because that is one part of the game that everybody ought to be able to accomplish well. He is normally brilliant, let me hasten to add, Tender Scarter, but the score has gone up to 48-1.
Yeah, but you're quite right, there are some bald patches there, old used wickets, and I think that may well have been the reason, just diverting the ball from its original course.
Well, we're back to 4 slips rather than 3 slips and a gully for Siddle, who's going to continue from the river end. This will be the 6th over of the morning, and definitely early honours to Somerset, but they are only early at this stage as Siddle is in. But that's a good delivery. It cut back very sharply, and Grunewald there taken on thigh pad, no appeal, and score remaining at 48-1.
Yes, he dealt with it pretty well in the end,
Yep.
Grunewald. He didn't flinch.
No, he's not a flincher, is he? He's a doughty campaigner, a good man to have at the lower part of the order, because he can come in and do a very good job, as he's demonstrated as night watchman, and not incapable of adding useful runs the following morning either, as Siddle is in bowls, and this one keeps a bit low, but dealt with again well by Grunewald, who got the bat down on it, played it into a gap in the offside between Bopara at point and Tender Scarter at mid-off, single, 2 to Grunewald, 49-1.
Yeah, James Hildreth is the Somerset number 3, dropping 1 place in the order on account of Grunewald's appearance as night watchman, so he'll come in next. Then Tom Banton and George Bartlett.
Siddle again. Bowls. Played into the offside, no run. Yes, it's a nice blend of youth and experience in the Somerset order, as it is in fact in the Essex as well. Sides quite rightly, or good sides shall I say quite rightly, not necessarily all sides, develop their own talent and like to promote it, give it every chance, but you can't just have 11 teenagers or early 20-year-olds in the side. You do need at least 2 or 3 players of supreme experiences. Here is Siddle now. We're back to 3 slips and a gully, bowls, and that's a leave for Abel, and basically it's 3 slips and a gully when Abel's on strike and 4 slips when the night watchman is on strike. 49-1.
Yeah, you need the seasoning, don't you, in any team?
Yeah, very much so.
Peter Siddle's certainly got that.
Yes, Essex, of course, Cook and Bopara, well into the, I won't say the very end of their career by any means, let's very much hope not, but very experienced to say the least. And a good 15 years in the game behind them, as here is Siddle in, and bowls, and that was beautifully taken by Wheater as the ball, an off counter went a long way down leg side, and prevents 4 byes there, 49-1.
Yeah, it was a good take. Wheater was victim to a brilliant catch actually by Stephen Davies yesterday, diving catch.
Yes, it was. He did very well to scoop it up.
Yeah, he's very understated, Stephen Davies, but very, very good.
Yeah, indeed,
very
good
reliable
signing.
Keeper.
As Siddle bowls to Abel, a leave. End of the over. I don't think it's going to be long now before Simon Harmett makes his first incursion into the attack this morning. Just bowled the 1 over last night. 32 to Abel, 2 to Grunewald, 49-1, 22 overs bowled.
Yeah, apart from that 1 over, it's been all Porter and Siddle.
It has.
So far. But there will be a change at some point. Not this over.
No, I think there'll be Harmer for Siddle either the next over from the river end or the one after that, unless he doesn't come on next over and Siddle gets a breakthrough. But to be honest, I don't think Essex have particularly looked like getting a breakthrough this morning. There have been 2 player misses, 1 by each batsman facing Porter, who comes in now. Hayes close end, begins a new over. Bowles, a very good delivery, and that has the better of Grunewald, who is definitely playing at that. Good bounce, goes by the outside edge through to Wheater. 49-1 in 22.1, replying to Essex's 216.
Haven't seen anything of Aaron Beard yet either.
No, in the Hampshire game, he didn't get a bowl at all in the first innings because, in spite of there being no Siddle, the remaining bowlers polished Hampshire off, they being Porter, who got 3 wickets, I think it was. It might have been 2. Sam Cook 3, and here is Porter in bowls. Oh, and another player in a miss here from Grunewald. Good bowling from Porter, 49 for 1. Yes, it was and Harmer who took the other 5 wickets. Even in the first innings, he got a 5-wicket haul. So the 3 between them polished off Hampshire fairly cheaply, and then, although Essex didn't make a great score in their first innings, they still won by an innings and 8 runs as Hampshire capitulated second time round. They'd no answer to Harmer, who took a further 7 wickets and 12 in the match, and Beard did get a bowl then. I think he bowled 5 overs and took 1 wicket. As Porter's in, bowls to Grunewald, taken on the pad, appeal only from those behind the wicket. It was going down, and they get a leg by, the 6th such of the morning, and that brings up the 50. 50 for 1, and Somerset resumed on 32. So 6 of the 18 runs that have been added, a third of the runs this morning have come in leg byes, and the score is 50 for 1, and those leg byes an indication that the Essex bowlers have just strayed down leg side rather too often.
Brings the captain back onto strike, Tom Abel.
Comes in now Porter to bowl to Abel, and that's a long way outside off stump, not taken cleanly by Wheater but effectively because he stops the ball down by his ankles, and score remaining 50 for 1. Somerset 166 behind.
Tom Abel on 32 not out. He's gradually progressed up the order this season. He batted 5 last year.
Yes, it's the sort of pitch that at Chelmsford this season you'd say a batsman's never entirely in. Now, someone from Somerset may be able to negate that and go right the way through to 100, but it won't be easy, as this takes an outside edge perfectly safely past Gully and down to the third man boundary. 4 more to Abel, who has 36. The score is 54 for 1.
Yeah, he came into the side, Tom Abel, as an opening batsman, then dropped down the order as captain, batted 5, then moved up 1 at the start of this season, along with James Hildreth, to 4, and opening now, no Marcus Trescothick, who is not in the side, out of form, and seeking to rediscover it in the seconds at the moment.
Porter completes this over with a ball well outside off stump. And so, the 7 overs bowled this morning, 22 runs added, 6 of them leg byes, 36 to Abel, 2 to Grunewald, 54 for 1.
Yeah, so Tom Abel back in the position where he started, really.
Yes, indeed. What goes around comes around, I suppose you could say. And it's still to be Siddle, no sign yet of Harmer loosening up. But I don't think it'll be long before he is into the attack. Tentis Carter probably has decided to give, well, he definitely decided to give Siddle at least 1 more over. Hasn't bowled at his best yet in this innings, Siddle, which isn't to say he hasn't troubled the batsman on occasion. 4 slips, crouch, which means it's Grunewald on strike rather than Abel, to whom there's 3 slips and a gully. Siddle is in, bowls to Grunewald. Off-cutter comes back a long way, but that's never going to be given out, even though the appeal is vehement, because that to me did rather too much and would probably have beaten leg stump. 54 for 1.
As Nick Cook indicates to Peter Siddle, just raised his right arm to indicate the direction.
You're not having that, lad, you're not having that. Nick Cook there is one of the charming things about Nick Cook. He's quite prepared to have a conversation with a bowler, explaining exactly why he's not given the decision the bowler's way. The bowler is allowed in a polite way to say, "Are you sane this morning, umpire? Bad night last night." But anyway, here's the next ball, and a shade tentatively but effectively. The batsman Grunewald comes forward and steers it out to Bopara at point, and the score remains 54 for 1.
He did have a rueful grin on his visage, Peter Siddle, as he walked back to his mark, and he's still having a conversation with Nick Cook.
Yes, well, it all helps pass the time of day. It's not an argument, it's a conversation. He is actually a super fellow, Peter Siddle. If you do an interview with him after the game, a smile never leaves his face. I have to check that my trousers are done up properly, because he just loves the whole element of playing cricket and all it entails, including post-match interviews. Here's the next ball, goes by outside off stump, 54 for 1, and we realise that players having to come along after the close of play and talk to the likes of ourselves is a chore, but it's very nice when you come across someone who looks as if actually he's thoroughly happy to do it.
Absolutely. It's a great help to all of us, isn't it?
It is. Now, top man. And Siddle is on his way in again. And bowls to Grunewald. Oh, that one takes off. And even a top-order batsman could have done no better. In fact, a top-order batsman might just have got the edge to that. And it goes through, you'll gather, to Wheater, an unplayable delivery from Siddle. And just underlines that although at the moment Somerset have only the 1 wicket down, but Essex struggle batting on this pitch. And I don't think anyone's ever going to find it all that easy.
Nope. And we saw a few of those, particularly from Jamie Overton yesterday.
Yes, he bowled terrifically well. I was very impressed with him. And here is Siddle in, bowls, and that goes by outside off stump. Third ball running that has had the better of Grunewald without getting him out. We'll bring Nick Gledhill to the microphone in just a moment when this over ends in 1 ball's time.
He can't lay a bat on Peter Siddle at the moment.
No, I mean, this has been, by a distance, even if he is only bowling to the night watchman, Siddle's best over of the innings. And here he is to complete it. Will he finally get his man as he comes in again? Bowls to Grunewald. No, that was too short and wide outside off stump. And Grunewald is able to leave it, but applause for a really good over that. The best over of the morning by a distance by Peter Siddle, a maiden. 54 for 1, 36 to Tom Abel, 2 to Tim Grunewald. And it all means that Somerset are now 162 behind. Commentary to Stephen Lamb. And for the first time, we welcome Nick Gledhill.
Yes, he'll feel that last delivery was rather wasted, Peter Siddle, at the end of a brilliant over. 3 jaffers to Tim Grunewald that, well, could have done for a better batsman. 54 for 1 then. Tom Abel is on strike with 36. It's been all Porter and Siddle so far today, as it was for most of yesterday evening. Porter on his way in to bowl to the Somerset captain, who shoulders arms, lets it go through to Adam Wheater. Under grey and heavy skies here at Chelmsford. Very pleasant stroll in to the ground this morning along the River Cann, which flows behind the commentary box here. Jamie Porter from the Hayes Close end bowls to Tom Abel, who plays a checked drive up to his opposite number, Ryan Tenderscarter. There's plenty of wildlife in the river this morning, including a pair of swans and some growing cygnets. I counted 6 of them, whether that was the whole family, but they were busy preening each other. Morning, Nick.
Morning, Steve. I was in Ilkley, West Yorkshire at the weekend and saw at the Ilkley station a duck with its little brood of wandering along the platform as if they got lost. We were all worried about them, wondering where the nearest water was. It wasn't that far away, but we were wondering how they got there. That was a more inexplicable wildlife sighting.
Not in their natural environment
at
the time. There's quite a long conversation between bowler and captain about field placings, which doesn't amount to any visible changes. Still 3 slips and a gully for Tom Abel as Porter comes in, and Abel's hit on the pad here. Given out LBW. First wicket of the morning, and it's the one that Somerset would have wanted less. Tom Abel, the captain, has gone for 36. Jamie Porter, who dismissed Azhar Ali last night, has snared the other Somerset opener, and Somerset now 54 for 2. Tom Abel, LBW bowled Jamie Porter for 36. Graham Lloyd had a long look at that before raising the finger.
Yeah, off cutter, obviously thought it was at least going to hit leg stump. Typical Porter dismissal really, bringing the ball back to the right-hander, just getting the ball to nip in and beating the defensive shot from Abel, who's been in very good form. That's a wicket that Essex needed, as Paul was saying. Essex a little bit, well, not quite firing on all cylinders, just looking for something to galvanise them this morning, and that is a really big breakthrough. And as you make the point, Stephen, it's not the night watchman, it's the frontline batsman, so that's an even bigger fillip from their point of view, and a wicket that Essex needed, because as I say, they would have liked to have made a breakthrough by now, and they finally got one.
Yes, James Hildreth is coming out to replace the captain. We'll have a brief exchange of words, as is customary, with the other batsman, Tim Grunewald, the night watchman.
I know that in the last game there were one or two question marks about some of the LBW decisions, and that one probably was reasonably marginal. It took a while to make the decision, but yeah, I had a feeling that might be given. It was a really full-blooded appeal, wasn't it? And clearly he felt that wasn't doing too much, and it was going to go on to certainly at least hit leg, maybe leg and middle.
Yeah, James Hildreth just prodding some areas of the pitch, having taken guard. Another right-hander. Usual assessment of the field before he settles. Still 3 slips and a gully as Porter runs in to bowl to Hildreth, who comes forward and defends that comfortably enough on the onside. So a breakthrough for Essex. Both of the Somerset openers now gone.
I've got a feeling this could be a really good game, Stephen. I said to you off air this morning, I just fancy Somerset for a small lead. I think Essex they should be confident in the way this Chelmsford pitch plays of taking wickets at regular intervals.
Well, that was certainly the case after lunch yesterday for Somerset, as Porter bowls to Hildreth, who this time defends out on the offside, and Tender Scarter is the fielder. Yeah, Somerset had the worst of things in the first session yesterday, and Essex were sitting pretty at one stage, 126
yeah, I mean, to be honest, the Essex batting performance was almost, they got a repeat fee for the one against Hampshire in terms of its structure. Sort of flattered to deceive a bit, was looking quite good and then fell away, and virtually exactly the same score as well. The difference is they're not going to win this game by the innings.
Porter then at the Hayes Close end, into bowl to Hildreth, who gets an outside edge to this, and it goes all along the ground to Dan Lawrence. Applause for Jamie Porter taking the wicket in that over of the Somerset captain. So Grunewald is on 2, Hildreth yet to get off the mark. Somerset in reply to Essex's 216, 54 for 2.
Yeah, I've got a thing. It's just got the makings of a really good game. I think it's a very important game. It's not likely to be a draw, and you just feel that for Essex to be realistic challengers, they need to win this game. And if Somerset were to win it, well, I think they would have beat Hampshire in the next round. They're very, very close.
Peter Siddle starts a new over from the river end, and that's defended first ball by Tim Grunewald.
They'd be in the sort of position then that Essex were in a couple of years ago, and indeed Surrey really. Last year we've seen sort of runaway championship winners, haven't we, the last few seasons?
Indeed. And
there is this one thing though, you haven't got a game at Scarborough, have you, Somerset?
No.
This year? Well, you have to win at Scarborough to win the title these days. You know, that's happened every year since 2013. Someone has won at Scarborough en route to winning the title. It's the only worry I've got for Somerset.
Siddle again. Grunewald is hit on the pad and thinks about a leg by. It's not there. Sent back by James Hildreth. Have Essex got a game at Scarborough?
They won there in 2017. Mohammed Amir, I think the 2-day match, Mohammed Amir was instrumental there. But it's one of those curious stats. We picked up on it last year with Surrey's success. That of course Yorkshire themselves had won at Scarborough en route to winning the title. Middlesex did. Durham did in 2013. It's not that long ago, but Durham last won the title. Peter Siddle is away once more. Into bowl to Grunewald, who defends.
stoutly. Are you going to Scarborough this year?
No, that's the slight downside. Essex have already had their game in the Yorkshire. The return fixture is coming up, and it's just one of those little curiosities that stumble across, which can be quite interesting.
Somerset have yet to make the trip to Headingley. They haven't played Yorkshire at all yet, or Hampshire. A couple of teams are done and dusted, Kent and Surrey. Siddle in, Greneveld elects to leave. Through it goes to Wheater.
Well, I can rule out Notts from winning the title, I think. They're going to Scarborough in August to play a championship match. There'll be another.
That taboo is going to be broken this year.
I suspect, unless they've got another game, and I think they probably have. See if I can find it. But yes, it's one of those nice little curiosities. Yorkshire against Surrey, believe it or not, is in the next round of games at Scarborough. But even the most ardent Surrey supporter would say that it's going to be hard work from here.
Well, especially after they were bowled out for 194 yesterday, as Siddle goes in. This is up in the air, and it's away to the mid-wicket boundary. He has the strokes, Tim Greneveld, and on display there.
Well, he's
firmly struck.
Yeah, he's playing the typical night watchman's role, which wouldn't have wanted able to get out, but if you can bat through at least half the morning session as a night watchman, and the further you get towards lunch, the more of a frustration it is for the bowlers, particularly on a day like this where it's not particularly oppressive, but it is sort of heading low to mid-20s, and it's quite humid. And I think as the day wears on, the players will start to feel the effects, and there'll be a few drinks breaks going on.
Incidentally, Warwickshire's reply to that Surrey 194 has now progressed to 120 for 2 as Siddle bowls to Greneveld again. That's outside the off stump and swinging further away.
Well, they've made a terrific recovery, Warwickshire, because you could look like you could write them off really a few games ago. Ian Bell just starting to play again. He'll not in the side yet. I think he's still playing warm-up games, but he'll be back with them soon. And Essex are going to play Warwickshire curiously at New Road, Worcester, in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes, which has been flooded.
Well, I presume it will be there. I mean, unless we. So already playing Warwickshire not at a venue in Warwickshire, and now potentially not even playing them at the replacement venue. But I think the general forecast suggests that hopefully New Road will be in fit condition, and that's a nice little bonus, I think, for the Essex supporters. It's a game that takes place partly at a weekend. And
as Paul and I were saying yesterday, Essex can expect a bit of support from the New Road crowd as well, because they don't like Warwickshire very much.
What I want to know is who gets the unelected toss rule.
Jamie Porter, with a wicket under his belt, starts a new over to James Hildreth, who defends the first delivery.
Could Warwickshire claim they're just as much in the way side as Essex are, and therefore perhaps they should have a toss without anyone being able to choose to field?
Interesting conundrum.
But no, I think Somerset 58 for 2. Where are we there? Well, just 148 behind. Very nicely poised.
Porter then bowls to Hildreth, who drives. He's going to get a run for it as well. That'll get him off the mark, up to mid-on. He'll be disappointed, Tom Abel, because he had to start twice yesterday evening and again this morning. He'd done the hard work on both occasions.
Did he open in the last game?
Yes.
So basically, Banton's forced his way into the side, but the way that he's got in is not in his 50-over role as opener. It's in the middle order with Abel going to the top. Yeah.
Yes. Correct. Porter. Running in towards us. Bowls to Greneveld, a bouncer, which Greneveld has no problem getting underneath.
So Jamie Porter, 2 for 29 in his 14th over, 3 maidens, and now 21 wickets for the season. So he's not quite keeping pace with Simon Harmer the extent he was 2 years ago, but he's very, very clear at the moment in second place in the Essex bowler rankings, just halfway behind Simon Harmer's 42.
Yes, 8 overs yesterday. This is his 6th today. That delivery is defended by Tim Greneveld.
Yeah, very experienced player, Tim Greneveld, and just knowing exactly what his role is here. Somerset just want to obviously bat as long as possible. There's a little bit of a, Paul was mentioning, a little bit of a threat from the weather overnight, sort of breakfast time tomorrow, but generally speaking the forecast has improved in the last 24 hours and we're fairly hopeful of not losing much play, if any. Of course, that's assuming the ground isn't underwater tomorrow, but there could be some nasty storms around.
Yes, there's a possibility of one during this session, although it doesn't look like it at the moment, as Porter bowls, Grenville drives up to mid-off, no run. Had a look, I was just saying earlier, at Polly Roads, the Somerset scorers radar, which was showing rain coming round about midday, but maybe that'll skirt around us.
Is it fair to say that Somerset, at the moment, it's the bowling that's really carrying them to the fore, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, look at Hildreth's average. I mean, he had a very good season last year, didn't he? But only averaging just on 24, just under 24 with the Cloudfm Championship.
Here is Porter, Grenville leaves. There have, in fairness to him, been some tricky conditions to bat in. It's always tricky in April.
Yes.
And the game at Canterbury was very much a bowler's game. He only had one opportunity in that match, James Hildreth.
Did you go to that one? The
I did.
Game?
Yeah. Bizarre game of cricket.
I mean, to be able to get a result in those weather conditions that week was quite extraordinary. And Essex was so fortunate to miss that round of games, and they actually had beaten Hampshire almost before a lot of the other games had seriously started last week.
Yeah.
They won on the Monday afternoon, and
the Canterbury game, there were 2 days completely washed out, days 1 and 3.
Yes.
And then there were 22 wickets in the day 2, so the game did move along rapidly.
And it was curious because it wasn't what I was expecting from Kent. I'll come back after this ball.
From Peter Siddle, which is defended by Hildreth.
Kent have shown tremendous resilience in Division 1 this year, and that was the first time they hadn't. It was 59 all out, wasn't it? But all credit to them, they came back and won the next game and
yes.
did so very well, and I still think Kent will be alright. It might have just been literally a bad 2 days at the office for them, days 1 and 4 against Somerset.
Yeah, and they've twice come back from defeats by Somerset.
Yes.
They were beaten in the first game of the season.
They competed better in that game, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, and went on to beat Warwickshire in the next game, as Siddle is in and Hildreth defends, out on the offside this time, no run.
Certainly Nottinghamshire now, a lot of trouble. Essex play Nottinghamshire in the next round of games, which is quite an interesting sort of little set of games as we head towards the T20. Almost inexorably, but it's on its way. But yes, Kent, Warwickshire, Nottinghamshire, Essex, Somerset, Hampshire, Yorkshire, Surrey. A really interesting set of matchups in Division 1 from next Sunday.
Siddle then sets off from the river end and bowls to Hildreth down the leg side, taken by Adam Wheater. Yeah, the good fortune that Somerset had in that Canterbury game was that the pitch had been under cover all day on day 1. They didn't have a toss. They put Kent in on day 2, and the moisture that had crept into the system, as it were, helped the Somerset bowlers.
Yes.
As Siddle is it again, and Hildreth is going to get a single, backward a square on the leg side here, fielded down at long leg.
It's the one sort of downside of the uncontested toss rule is when you do get conditions, partly because of the weather, maybe sort of the overheads on occasions, where it can become a little bit unfair. Generally I think it's a good thing, but there are occasions when it is a notable advantage for the fielding side. However, it has to be said that both the Essex-Hampshire games this year have been marked by notable mistakes by the fielding side, in that Hampshire got a lot of runs at the Aegeus Bowl the first day of the season, and Hampshire chose to bat and got bowled out last week.
Siddle into bowl to Grenville, who defends slightly hurriedly but effectively. Tweet from Robert Blackwell. Good morning, gents. A big day for Somerset. Batting needs to back up the good bowling of yesterday. Peter Siddle is back at his mark without the ball at the moment, which is eventually returned to him by Ryan Tenderscarter. Here is Siddle then, and Greneveld gets all the bat on that. Defending.
Just the 1 wicket this morning then. Jamie Porter got it, and it was Tom Abel who was the man to go.
Yeah, 60 for 2 at the end of the over. 6 Greneveld, 2 Hildreth. You can count Tim Greneveld's scoring shots on the fingers of one hand at the moment, even though he's faced 48 deliveries now.
I mean, already he's just shown, I think, the Somerset approach today, which is to try and bat through the day, get some sort of lead.
We're going to have a change, first change of the morning on the bowling front. Aaron Beard is coming on to take over from Jamie Porter, who finishes his second spell with figures of 14 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 29.
Well, we're saying that Somerset game plan, get some sort of lead and then get Alistair Cook out early. And if they can achieve those two things, then they'll be in a good position in the game. Cook just starting to really come into his own this season after a very quiet start, and perhaps underlining yesterday the extent to which Essex rely on him, and when he does go cheaply, you sort of just wonder if the rest of the batting lineup collectively is in good enough form to get a good score.
Yeah, the innings was rather built around him yesterday. Yes. Made 80, Sir Alistair. So, here's Aaron Beard from the Hayes Close end, bowling a full-length delivery to James Hildreth, who gets it off his toes down to deep backward square. Comfortable 2. Greneveld wants a third and will get it. Throw just a little bit short, so Adam Wheater has to run forward to take it. I think Greneveld would have been okay regardless. So 3 for James Hildreth. He goes to 5, 63 for 2. Azarali dismissed yesterday evening, Tom Abel this morning. Beard into Greneveld outside the off stump. No need to play it.
Now I understand there was some discussion yesterday comparing Aaron Beard to great bowlers of the past. I missed out on this, but got an email just come in from Tony. I think it's just following up one from yesterday. No pressure on Aaron then. Can he now bowl a bit like the great man, referring to Malcolm Marshall, one of the all-time great bowlers? And it's quite a comparison, but more of a chance for Beard to make a mark in this game, because he didn't have much of a go against Hampshire.
In he comes. Out! 3rd wicket. Greneveld's gone, the night watchman caught in the slips, and Aaron Beard has struck in his first over.
Well, there you go. I was pleased to manage to mention that, because Malcolm Marshall wouldn't have disowned that dismissal. It's actually a nice outswinger, and it just might be that he's the one that could produce the goods, because Essex were looking for a bowler perhaps who might be able to take advantage of these conditions, which I was just thinking about the 80s attack for Essex, you know, the Levers and Pringles and Fosters and Phillips. They might have really enjoyed bowling in these sort of conditions. Comfortable catch for Tom Wesley, but that just looked like a sort of nice outswinger, just drew the shot and forced the batsman to play. And Essex will be pleased now, because they didn't want Greneveld batting all morning, and I am very interested in seeing this next guy, because he is a huge talent. And 63 for 3. The innings at a little bit of a crossroads. Where are we? 100 and what's the gap? 153. This now a really interesting phase in the game.
Yeah, Tom Banton, the new batsman, who made a key contribution in that game we were talking about at Canterbury.
Yeah,
made 63, top scorer on either side. Only 50 of the match, in fact. And
hasn't got a number. He's wearing a short sleeve sweater, but hasn't got a number. Maybe he's got a shirt with a number
underneath.
Yeah,
number 18.
But it's interesting he's batting in a sweater. It's pretty warm out there, pretty humid.
Yes, it's quite surprising.
Yeah,
the only man in a sweater on the field.
I'm just going to get myself warm up. But as I say, this guy, saw him for the first time in the Lord's final live, and what a great talent for the future.
Yep, just 20 years of age, Tom Banton, and he's ready for his first ball now from Aaron Beard. Running in, bowls outside the off stump, and no need to play it.
So we're looking at maybe Beard here just might be able to get the ball to swing a little bit, and no real signs of that so far. But that was almost like a classic sort of outswinger's dismissal. Wesley at third slip, no mistake, and drew the shot. He'll be hoping he can just put the ball in the right place early to Banton and force a similar error. 63 for 3, and say 153 of a deficit. So the innings is a bit of a crossroad. One of those a night watchman.
Beard in again. Once more outside the off stump, once more left. He's got a very springy approach, Aaron Beard. Comes in at a bit of an angle, as Peter Trigo used to for Somerset.
Yes, as he's just looking for a bowler. And it's interesting, obviously, we've not seen Simon Harmer as you might expect. Where are we? It's 5 to 12, and this is the 29th. He's only bowled 1 over in the innings. That's because they're hoping the seamers can do a job in these conditions.
In again, Beard, and that's even further outside the off stump. And Banton not tempted in the least. End of the over, and congratulations all round for Aaron Beard. That's a tremendous start for him.
Well, yeah, it is. And beautiful delivery, the one that got the wicket. And as I say, I was just pleased to mention that point about the comparison to Malcolm Marshall before he bowled that ball, because I say Marshall wouldn't have disowned that dismissal. It was, the comparisons may generally end there, but I mean it was a superb piece of bowling.
Yeah, Malcolm Marshall used to find extra pace for some reason when Vic Marks came into bat for Somerset. Marks did not enjoy batting against Marshall, and he asked why he seemed to find this extra pace, and Robin Smith it was who told him it's because he doesn't like the way you walk.
You know, when you're staying with relatives and you end up, you'll read Sunday papers you don't usually read. So I was reading the Observer yesterday, and Vic Marks had an interesting article about the fallout in the mid 80s, the Viv, Ian Botham, Joel Garner fallout in the mid 80s. It was certainly a very interesting read. I think it was an excerpt from a book that Vic has got coming out. But I think there's another excerpt today, which I was looking to try and get hold of in one of the papers. Obviously not the Observer, being a Monday. Now,
this is the change that we've been
Yes.
talking about. Simon Harmer is coming on from the River End in place of Peter Siddle. Just the 1 over yesterday evening. In fact, the last over of the day it was, and it was a maiden. So some thought being put into field placings. There's a slip and a short leg. I'll give you the rest in a moment as Harmer goes in. Here's his first ball of the day, which is turned backward a square by James Hildreth. Won't be a run. There is a man posted in a run-saving position just behind square. There's also a short mid-wicket. There's a long on, mid-off, cover and a backward point as Harmer goes in. And this is played pretty fluently by Hildreth down to deep backward square. Almost gets the whole way to the boundary. Cut off just by the rope out in the deep, and they take a comfortable 2. Will take Hildreth along to 7.
Someone telling a few jokes down beneath us.
Indeed. Got an assembly of Essex supporters in front of us, new arrival amongst them as Harmer bowls, and this is played down to short leg.
The key against him is interesting. He's bowled so little in this innings, and we're in the 30th over, and I think he was particularly effective with a newer ball against Hampshire in both innings.
Bowling in sunglasses, Simon Harmer into Hildreth, who defends. Again, it's fielded at short leg. Alistair Cook is in his customary first slip position as Harmer comes in. This is turned away down to long leg by Hildreth. Possibly get 2 more. No, they settle for a single. So well fielded down there. Sure, who the man is posted on 45 degrees there.
If down there will be Beard at the moment.
Yeah.
Porter's put himself he's at backward point. Got a slip on a short leg.
And Tom Westley is being brought in from long on to a deepish mid on by Harmer for Tom Banton, and that's a drop, I think, at short leg.
Yeah, all the body language indicator from Tendescarter is that he hasn't hung on to that.
It wasn't that difficult a chance.
No.
It was straight to him, off the bat, no pad involved, I don't think. And that could and should have been the fourth Somerset wicket.
Well, that could be a big moment, because I'm just so impressed with this youngster, and Essex would dearly have loved to have got him out very cheaply. And it looked like he's just gone straight in, and he just hasn't hung on. It's the old reflex, back pad at short leg, and hasn't gone in.
It was sharp, but as short leg chances go, they usually
It wasn't
stick
a full-blooded pull into the short leg. It was a typical full short leg catch, wasn't it? Typical short leg chance. And this certainly suggesting that Harmer's going to create problems, but he's missed out on one there.
So an immediate let-off for Tom Banton. Only the fourth delivery he's faced. This could be another wicket though. James Hildreth with a pull in the air. It's been taken.
Nick Brown.
The fourth Somerset wicket falls straight after the missed chance. And James Hildreth has gone pulling at Aaron Beard. And that is another body blow for Somerset. Hildreth dismissed for 8, Somerset 66 for 4.
Well, remarkable stuff this from Aaron Beard, who, as I say, was more or less a spectator in the last game, and he's bowled a lovely outswinger to get the first wicket. Now, I just wonder whether that one just moved a little bit, because Hildreth got the shot all wrong. He thought it was there for the pull, but actually might just have just swung a bit again, and he's top-edged it. Now, Nick Brown did really well, because he had quite a lot of ground to make up there, and he ended up taking it low to the ground, and extremely good catch that, because he could easily have spilled that. So just the ball after what we thought was a relatively straightforward short leg chance as they go was spilled. A much tougher chance for Nick Brown running around at mid-wicket towards square leg was taken, and Aaron Beard has 2 for 3 in 7 balls, and Somerset are 66 for 4. They're still 150 behind, and Somerset are at the moment doing a bit of a Hampshire impersonation, Steve, because this is a little bit reminiscent of what we saw last week. They've just got to settle down a bit, and this is the crucial stage of the innings for Somerset.
Well, it's the third miscued pull of the match. We saw one from Westley yesterday, another from Bapara, and now we've seen one from Hildreth. Can't be a coincidence. It must tell us something about the pitch.
Yes, it's. I just wonder whether I'm going to see a bit more of Beard. He's only bowled 7 deliveries, but I'm just wondering whether he's getting a bit of movement as well in the air. Just because that first dismissal did just seem a classic outswinger dismissal. I was wondering whether that one might have just not done what was expected from Hildreth. But well, George Bartlett, who's been pretty good this season, hasn't he?
Yep.
Coming in, big partnership this.
Much of the future for Somerset resting on these 2 batsmen, aged 21 Bartlett and 20 Banton. Here is Aaron Beard outside the off stump. Bartlett leaves alone.
Beard, I mean, if you're a seam bowler, these are nice conditions. You've got the side under pressure, and certainly the overheads are in your favour. Still quite oppressive. Not overwhelmingly so, but you'd certainly quite like to be bowling in these conditions. It's why Simon Harmer's only bowled a couple of overs in the first 30. And it could be that Aaron Beard, perhaps against expectations, is the bowler who's going to make the difference in the Essex seam attack.
2 for 3 his figures at the moment, as he comes in to bowl to Bartlett, who gets this one out to deep mid-wicket. They'll get a couple for this. Just given a little bit of room on his pads, George Bartlett there, and taking advantage. So he's off the mark.
That's Banton.
Yeah,
in fact, it's Banton who's off the mark, beg his pardon.
It's Julius behind us, who's been with us for the game. He's very, very good David Jackman impersonation. He had a battle of the scorers yesterday. I was wondering if they were outscoring each other, you know, what the correct terminology was, but Julius here on work experience. Nice to have him with us.
Yes, it's because the batsman crossed while the ball was in the air. Banton coming to the striker's end. Beard bowls to him. Is that another one? It is. Beard is performing miracles here.
Outswing, outswing.
And a good catch by Adam Wheater. The 5th Somerset wicket has fallen. Essex a cock a hoop, and Tom Banton has gone for just 2. 68 for 5.
I just think he is the bowler who I was talking about, bringing the Essex attack of the 80s to these sort of conditions, you know, the overheads, the sort of oppressive nature. Could there be an Essex bowler who might be able to sort of do what they might have been able to do in these conditions? And first sort of 40 minutes or so, no real sign. Suddenly, Aaron Beard has bowled 10 deliveries. He's taken 3 for 5. But again, that one just seemed to moved a little away a little bit, drew the tentative push, and 68 for 5. And well, they have avoided the follow-on. So, but if Essex have made another 50 runs, goodness me, Somerset would be having to think about that. And I tell you what, if these conditions stayed the same all day, Essex wouldn't hesitate in enforcing it. So they'll be pleased that they bowled Essex out yesterday, and hoping that they can do something similar if the overheads remain the same later.
Yes, it's a wonderful start for Aaron Beard.
Yeah, and he's I mean, that last ball he bowled to Banton was 2 over pitch. Where his success is coming is where he's just bowling a good length and just encouraging the ball just to do a little bit. But I just think there's a bit of outswing there for him, and the overheads are helping him.
Yes, a slightly delayed appearance by Stephen Davies because of the flurry of wickets.
Wow. A famous occasion when Surrey were bowled out in probably fairly similar sort of conditions, swing bowling. There was all sorts of stories of pads being strapped on very quickly, and people looking for their bats, and delays in people coming out to the middle. But it has been a very dramatic turn of events. And
that was when Surrey were bowled out 14.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that was here, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Sylvester Clark had to be pulled out of the bath.
Yes, and I don't think it's got that far yet in terms of Somerset, but no one's having a bath at this stage. 68 for 5, but goodness me. I just had the feeling in the first 40 minutes that Somerset were going to have a decent day with the bat, grind along, get a lead probably of about 50 to 100. Hope to get Alistair Cook out at the end. Well, it's all gone very different now.
So the left-handed Stephen Davies has taken guard, and you can see a scoreboard reading 68 for 5 as Beard comes in to bowl to him, and he watchfully defends out on the offside.
No, all credit to Aaron Beard. I mean, he would have been very pleased to have been part of a side that won a game in 5 sessions. But I guess if you're a bowler and you're in the side to bowl and you don't get much of a turn, you sort of think, well, it's nice to be in a winning side, but I'd like a chance to sort of prove what I can do, thank you very much. And Sam Cook sustaining that side strain during the Hampshire game has given him this chance, which he's taken superbly so far.
And he comes again to bowl to Davies, who drives. Will get off the mark with this. It's gone up towards the extra cover boundary. It hasn't got the legs to get there, but the batsmen have got the legs to run to. End of a magical over from Aaron Beard, and you can hear the applause of the Essex faithful. They're absolutely delighted. So 2 for Stephen Davies. Bartlett yet to get off the mark. End of the over, 70 for 5. And I'll let you take on the commentary role, Nick,
Stephen,
and make room myself for Paul Newton.
No such excitement at the Oval, where Warwickshire 131 for 3, 63 behind Surrey, 2 wickets for Ricky Clark, and Warwickshire, who much improved, should be confident of getting a first innings lead there, as Somerset would have been here about 20 minutes ago. And Bangladesh are 103 for 2 in a game they need to win against Afghanistan. That's at the Aegeus Bowl. Well, they seem to have a lot of games at the moment. I think it might be the last one. But 103 for 2, 29 overs, Bangladesh against Afghanistan. Afghanistan on the used pitch curiously chose to field, which seemed a bit of a surprise earlier on. Now, Simon Harmer, who was in an unusual position of playing second fiddle at the moment, but see how he can go here. He's coming into bowl with 3 men round the bat, and that one's worked away just between leg slip and short leg, and down towards backward square leg. Bartlett is on strike, Davis a non-striker, An absolute flurry of wickets. We've got Bartlett on, Norton, Davis on 2. 70 for 5 is the score, and it's all happened with Aaron Beard's 2 overs, as here we have a delivery from Harmer, which is just played up towards short leg, and in all that time as well, in Harmer's first over, we reckon that Ryan Tenderscarter spilled what he would have been disappointed, because it looked like a fairly regulation chance at short leg as well, but he'll be pleased that Banton didn't survive much longer. Here is Harmer again, bowling, just played up into the onside. Welcome, Paul. Not too much to chance to chat in a Harmer over, but it's all been happening.
Well, in the half hour I was off, 4 wickets have fallen. My last statement was, I don't think anyone will find batting easy on this pitch, and I stick by that.
70 for 5, Harmer bowls. And this is just worked away down towards square leg, and there's no run. So we have the 3 wickets. I mean, Beard has been tremendous, but I think he's just found the right length. There's a little bit of swing there for him. That's been 2 of the wickets, and I'm not even sure that might have had something to do with the third one, the miscued pull as well, because it wasn't where Hilders was expecting it when he played the shot. 70 for 5 as Harmer floats that one right up, and it's played just backward a square on the offside by Bartlett. He would have been hoping to have put that one away, but just played it out to backward point. Very good catch from Nick Brown. It's a fairly straightforward chance for Tom Westley. A good take behind the stumps by Adam Wheater, the third of the wickets. Here's Harmer bowling, and that's played up into the offside. So very unusually, Harmer is playing the support role at the moment. He won't mind that at all. I'm sure he's very pleased for Aaron Beard. So we had a maiden over there for Harmer, but the story at the moment is at the other end. And Somerset here, who were 54 for 1, are now 70 for 5, and we've had the conclusion of 32 overs.
Yes, the very first ball after I vacated the commentary seat at 11:30, Tom Aber was LBW to Jamie Porter for 36. And then we've had these 3 wickets in very rapid succession, all to Aaron Beard. First of all, he had Grunewald caught by Wesley, third slip for 6. Good catch. Then we had a brilliant catch by Brown to get rid of Hildreth off the bowling of Beard for 8. And then the same over Banton, a very good low catch by Wheater off Beard for 2. Aaron Beard played in the first match, Essex v Lancashire, when Essex won the title in 2017. Didn't play again, has hardly bowled since, and here he is with 3 wickets.
That one, was appeal for it, was stifled appeal for LBW there, as he's just going across his crease, and there is Davis, but that was just a stifled shot. Interestingly for Beard, he's got his success with the ball that's sort of been of a good length, but when he sort of tried to pitch it up and got the ball to swing, he's been put away for runs, the few runs that he's conceded so far, but he's obviously trying to bowl a full length. But it's been the sort of good length delivery which has really caused the problem.
I think he is trying to bowl that good length rather than the full length. Those were the deliveries when Somerset were in the field that produced the runs for Essex.
Interesting positions here, as that's driven away for 2, away through the covers. Brown chasing it back towards the boundary. Might have a bit more on it than I thought, this. It's going up towards the rope, and it's going to cross it. So the outfield has just quickened up a bit from how it was last week. That was a nice push drive from Davis. Again, slightly over pitch delivery, looking for swing, but that one put away nicely just in front of square, and it just ran away from Brown actually towards the covered part of the public seats. It goes along to 74 for 5.
Well, just what we were saying, that was over pitched. He met it on the full, sort of low down on the full, and stroked it away, no trouble at all. And Beard just needs to pull his length back as against the last 2 balls he's bowled here. But nevertheless, figures of 2.2 overs, no maidens, 3 for 11 will do very nicely.
2 slips in a gully. He bowls to Davis, and Davis plays it, and he's caught at mid-off by Tenderscarter. Goodness me, that seemed to stop on him a little bit. Really curious dismissal that, because he was just going for the push drive again, a bit similar to the stroke he played earlier in the over, but it seemed to stop on him, and it's gone straight up to mid-off. And Aaron Beard here now has 4 wickets in, I make it 15 deliveries, and Ryan Tenderscarter, that's a straightforward catch. He'll be pleased to have got that one after the short leg miss, but it seemed to stop on him a little bit, and he's just really just driven it up on the full straight to mid-off, and it's 74 for 6.
And just to make it even easier for the Essex captain, the ball sort of looped up in the air. It didn't go quickly to him, and all he had to do was stick his hands up at about eye level and grasp the catch. And again, I think you're right. I think the ball possibly stopped on him a bit, as one did on Ravi Bopara yesterday. So I go back to my last statement on my first commentary stint at 11:30. I don't think anyone will find it easy batting on this pitch. I described it as a pitch you're never truly in on, and there will be a ball that has your name on it before very long. You just have to hope that the catches don't stick by the fieldsman, but with the exception of Tendescada's drop-off Bantam, which wasn't expensive because although he did get 2 runs, but that's all he got, and he was out in the next over. Beard is just on fire. If you said to me, now what odds would you give against young Aaron Beard, who didn't even get an over in Hampshire's first innings here last week? What odds would you give me on him taking a 5 for here? Well, he's got 4 for 11, and he's only in halfway through his 3rd over. It has been one of the most remarkable entries into an attack you'd ever see, because as I was just explaining a few moments ago, having played in the first game of Essex's championship winning season against Lancashire in 2017, he did not figure again. He was often a substitute fieldsman. He's a very good fieldsman, but he didn't figure in the side again, and I'm not at all sure if he actually got a game last season. His first game this season was the last one against Hampshire, where, as I say, it wasn't until the second innings he even got a bowl, picked up a wicket. One thing I'll say for him, Nick, he's a yard faster than when I last saw him this season.
Well, this is incredibly encouraging. Gregory is the batsman, and he just plays this one up towards mid-on. It's again a fuller length delivery, but what a performance from Aaron Beard. 4 for 11 in 16 deliveries, and quite extraordinary. I'm sure you can hardly believe it. I think your interview at the end of the day, the field is narrowing quite quickly here, Paul, as to who you might be talking to.
Yes, I think Gregory is a good man to come in for Somerset. He tends to thrive in the crisis, and this certainly is one from a Somerset point of view.
So yes, he does have a good reputation with the bat. A key player on the side, of course. It's outside the off stump and left alone, but this is a really key phase of the game. I was doing a little the sort of preview for the game on Saturday afternoon. Actually, I'll let you into a secret. It was on Friday morning. It was recorded because I was in Yorkshire over the weekend, but in around the wicket on Saturday afternoon, and I said we'd had some idle speculation in the box about whether a draw was good enough for Essex in this game, and I thought actually this is rather silly because it can't be a draw on the way that these Chelmsford pitches play, and of course it's panning out just like that. 216 plays 74 for 6, and here is Gregory getting a delivery which he just works away tentatively out towards Brown at mid-wicket. Nice catch by Brown, wasn't it, a short while ago? 74 for 6, neither batsman has scored. Bartlett and Gregory, a remarkable collapse, and with all this going on, Essex 142 ahead, and that's a pretty useful lead in these conditions.
Yes, Nick Brown hasn't had a great time with the bat this season, and he's got several colleagues for whom that's also true for Essex. But what he has done, he's been absolutely brilliant in the field. And he's a big man, but remarkably agile for someone of his proportions, and the way he made the ground to dive headlong and take the catch that got rid of Hildreth inches off the ground after dropping from a height. It was a superb catch. They do say catches win matches.
So here's Harmer coming into bowl. That's just played up into the onside, and Harmer, I say, extraordinarily having to play the second fiddle at the moment. Bartlett is on strike with a slip. There's a leg slip and a short leg, a mid-wicket and mid-on, backward square leg and mid-off and a backward point. And here is Harmer bowling, and that's just played off the back foot. Nice stroke away through the covers. This one will, I think, just about go to the boundary. It's being chased back by Porter. It gets to the rope now. I think he's just missed out on stopping that. It was one that all the way you felt he was not quite going to get there. He got his hand to it just as it went into the rope at extra cover. Nice stroke by Bartlett, and away for 4 runs, and 78 for 6 in the 34th over.
Valiant attempt by Porter, but the ball was a little bit too short, and gave Bartlett the chance to rock onto the back foot, step away to leg and crack it through the offside for 4.
So here is Harmer again, and that's played almost. That's almost a potential catch for leg slip. It was one that just went off the open face. Typical potential leg slip chance, but it bounced short of Bopara there.
Yep, much better ball from Harmer.
Yes, back to his old drift, the ball that's so dangerous, which draws the shot from the right-hander, and that was just on the bounce to leg slip, but Bopara was momentarily thinking it might be coming to him.
Cook at regulation slip, Bopara backward short leg, Tendescada forward short leg.
Here is Harmer bowling, and again a little bit of bounce there, but ridden well by Bartlett, just to place it off the back foot, down on the bounce, up towards short leg. Lancers in a shortish mid-wicket, Wesley at mid-on and Porter at mid-off. There is also a man on a deep square leg boundary that we haven't mentioned, and that's played off the back foot, just down into the crease, and there's no run.
Still to come for Somerset, Jamie Overton, Jack Beach and Jack Brooks. Of course, we've seen the night watchman come at 3, so still 2 frontline batsmen out there.
This is, by the way, Aaron Beard's best championship bowling return, as this delivery from Harmer is driven back down the pitch and fielded by Harmer, and it is followed through as it's played by Bartlett back down the pitch. And again, very, very unusual, isn't it, to see Simon Harmer playing the bit part role, but he's just playing a holding role at the moment, while Beard is doing the damage at the other end, but doing perfectly well, as you'd expect. Just almost playing the typical role of a spinner in the first innings of a match when the seamers do the damage. He's got 0 for 7 in 4 overs. Bartlett 4, Gregory no score. 78 for 6, and they're 138 behind.
Yes, I was very surprised that Harmer didn't enter the attack a lot sooner, but Essex nevertheless have had a terrific time in the last half hour, with Aaron Beard 3 overs no maiden, 4 for 11. Extraordinary figures for a guy who previously, I think, has only got at most 2 wickets in first class cricket.
78 for 6, that's outside the off stump from Beard and left alone by Gregory. Yeah, his best is actually 347 in the Lancashire home match last year, but say his best in the championship is only a 3-wicket haul, and this certainly well on its way. He could add to the 4 wickets yet, and you wouldn't bet against him being quite a significant career best, but it is already in the championship. He got 4 wickets against Sri Lanka in a tour game, but this is the championship where it's much more intense and full on against the leaders. This is where it really counts, and he's doing a great job as he comes up to the wicket again, bowls, and that's clipped away off the pads down towards fine leg for a single, and Jamie Porter completes the fielding. BBC Essex, BBC Radio Bristol, and you're listening to day 2, and it's all been happening after a fairly quiet half hour or so at the start. An absolute flood of wickets, and it's been Aaron Beard 4 for 12 in his 4th over, who's been instrumental in that. And 1 or 2 spots of rain have begun to fall, and it does look rather ominous. We did hear a forecast from the Somerset scorer Polly that it might rain around midday, and it looks like she's right. I think it might only be showers, but that's just going away outside the off stump, and maybe a hint of movement there, but Bartlett was back of a length delivery and decided not to play at it, and there's no run. He's not quite been able to find that length that he got in the first those first 2 or 3 overs, which brought the wickets. I think even the Hildreth dismissal, I think there might have been a bit of movement there, because Hildreth was having to reach for the pull shot and top edged it.
Warwickshire continue to thrive against Surrey, 158 for 4, now only 36 runs behind.
Yep, 79 for 6, and this is awkward delivery, and it goes back into the right-handed Bartlett, and it comes off the open face involuntarily and goes between the second and third slips and away down to the the third man boundary for 4, but that literally was almost off the back of the bat, and Wesley gave it chase from third slip, but very interesting delivery, because there was obviously some movement there.
Yes, an involuntary boundary, but perfectly safe along the ground, as you say.
Drizzle much more notable now, and I think we might get a short delay, but 1 or 2 showers in the forecast this morning, better later.
Could be an early lunch taken here.
3 slips and a gully, and here's a well pitched up delivery, and Bartlett plays it away for at least 2 out towards long on. He's coming back for the second run now, but I think at the third it's probably going to be just about there on the throw, and Siddle throws in, and indeed quite a long boundary out there. They get back for the third. Somerset go to 86 for 6. All these runs crucial, and Gregory, as we mentioned, could be a key man here. Bartlett, of course, very much one of the specialist batsmen, and these two still a big partnership for Essex to break. They battle a long way down, as you'd expect.
Yeah, he's just not pitched the ball in the right place in this over, Beard. He's gone back to over pitching a little bit, and that's what not to bowl on this particular pitch. As I was saying earlier, yesterday, most of the runs Essex did get came when there was just a bit of a full length and the batsman could get on the front foot to drive.
Still drizzling. Not hard yet, but the batsman sort of looking up at the clouds, and here's a delivery which is played off the back foot away through the offside for 4. Lovely stroke, a little bit short that one, and Gregory, we're talking about his prowess with the bat, has just punched that away off the back foot, and Well, you wouldn't back against Somerset. Remember, one of these 6 wickets is a night watchman, so that's an important point. You wouldn't back against them being able to stage a comeback from here, and they want to get as close to that Essex first innings score as possible. 90 for 6. The umpire's having a chat about the weather. It's still drizzling. It hasn't got worse, but they're going to have to make a decision as to whether they're happy to carry on playing in these conditions.
Well, the floodlights are on because the light is pretty poor as well, and well, Nick Cook is looking as if he's almost offering it to the batsmen as to whether they want to go off, but that can't be true because that doesn't happen now, and play is going to continue. Simon Harmer would be interested to see if a slightly damp ball might affect his grip, but certainly it is a low-scoring game and a good partnership here for Somerset. 12 runs off that last over from Beard.
Here is Harmer coming in to bowl, and that one attempt to work the ball away just backwards square on the onside, and Bartlett's deceived by that one. In the end, not too far away from brushing the glove. 90 for 6. So Bartlett on 11, Gregory on 5, and here Bartlett reaches for that just a little bit, but in the end plays it along the ground out towards Tender Scarter at short leg. The drizzle probably staying much as it was, but maybe they're thinking that this is just sort of light showers forecast and it might pass fairly quickly. Still very, very sullen and overcast, but humid. Let's push defensively up into the onside, and there's no run. But what an extraordinary period of play we have seen. Beard 4 for 23 in 4 overs. Harmer playing second fiddle and doing a holding role. 5th over, none for 7. And extraordinary collapse by Somerset as this is pushed up into the onside, up towards short leg Tender Scarter, and there is no run. But Somerset will know if they can just get fairly close to this Essex score. They're still well in the game, but they're a long way behind at the moment. I have a feeling he's going to bring Porter back the next over Hayes close end. Still just spitting with rain as that's played almost on the fullback to Harmer. Had certainly in the air for a while as Harmer reached across with his right hand, but no catching chance for him.
Beard has done such a fabulous job, but proved expensive in his last over, and Tender Scarter might want to keep the lid on tight by bringing Porter back.
Yeah, this is Harmer bowling again, and just turned a little bit and played off the back foot, and Harmer plays it away into the onside. The rain's not got any worse, but again, Harmer really playing the holding role at the moment, doing it effectively. 90 for 6 with 5 to Gregory and 11 to Bartlett. So yeah, I mean, what's the deficit now? 126, isn't it? So I think Somerset going to want to get that deficit down below 50, and they'll feel they're still well in the game.
Well, yes, a minimum, because of course they might yet get a first innings lead. I was interviewing Anthony McGrath, the Essex head coach, close of play yesterday. He was saying that he thought the first innings would determine the match. He said if Somerset go on and get a decent lead, they'll win, but he said if Essex can get even a narrow first innings lead, he wouldn't anticipate it being easy to bat last on this pitch.
So it's still Beard who comes into bowl. That one just pops up a little bit at Gregory. He's looking to work it into the onside and suddenly found the ball was right on him, and in the end was happy to see it just go down, maybe just off towards the top of the bat, back down the pitch.
And that the key to that was he was back on the right sort of length to bowl there, just short of a length. In the previous over, which went for 12, there were 3 deliveries that were too far pitched up and the batsman could easily just meet virtually on the full, and one that was too short.
Drizzle just setting in again a little bit at the moment as Beard from the Hayes close end bowls, and here we've got Gregory just coming forward, number 24 on his back, key player from the Somerset side. Has played it up into the offside, and there is no run. Chelmsford born, Aaron Beard, and he's going to be 22 come October. Went to Great Barrow High School, so very much if you can get a local product, this is about as local as you can get. Says the best innings he's ever seen. Dan Lawrence's 141 against Lancashire at the start of a 2017 championship winning season.
That's the game he played in.
Yeah, 90 for 6, and here is Gregory just almost getting turned around by that, but in the end played it pretty well up towards Westley at cover. So Somerset have got to think of things that they can take out of this situation, and one is that one of the 6 wickets is a night watchman. So if they can get to lunch whenever it is without any more wickets going down, they might just be able to, like we did of course at lunchtime yesterday after a fairly ordinary morning session, settle themselves down.
Yep, that's right. Essex would dearly like a 7th wicket here before what may be a rain delay.
90 for 6. 2 slips and a gully waiting as that's played off the back foot up into the covers, and there's no run. Beard might think he's worth a 3rd slip the way that he got a couple of his dismissals, but at the moment Ryan Tenderscard is only giving him 2, but he is also giving him Tom Westley in sort of an attacking catching position at a sort of a short cover, though as I say he's just walked back a little bit, but he's still looking for potentially a miscued drive there.
Much better over so far from Beard, this one.
Number 4 for 23 in 4 overs and 4 balls. Still drizzle as he comes into bowl, and Gregory just playing that one up into the offside, and there is no run. But what a handy player to have in your side Gregory is, because frontline bowler and also a genuine middle order batsman, the sort of player that championship winning sides tend to have at their disposal. Paul, when you look down the years.
No, he's a terrific player, and of course very, very good in one-day cricket as well. And he's one of those players who goes on the front foot whenever he can. He's aggressive, which is, I think, quite a good thing to be.
Still drizzling, and big gap between second slip and gully, by the way. And here's a good delivery. That's a bit of bounce there, not so much swing, but bounce. And it drew a tentative stroke as Bartlett was looking to just cut it away into the offside, but stayed underneath it. But that was a better overall round from Beard. So we have 5 to Gregory and 11 to Bartlett, 90 for 6.
And curiously, it was a maiden. He hadn't bowled a maiden before, and a very good comeback after a rather poor over his 4th. The 5th is a maiden. They're going off.
Yeah.
If
Might
anything,
be lunch.
Yeah, if anything, I'd say the clouds have lifted slightly as against what they were 5 minutes ago. It's certainly brighter than it was 5 minutes ago when the rain started. The umpires will stay out there, and I don't think there'll be a decision on lunch immediately. We may be able to resume again within 10 or 15 minutes, but what a morning we've had with Somerset 32 for 1 as they resume, replying to Essex's 216. They've added 58 but lost 5 wickets doing it, mainly down to Aaron Beard, who after Porter got the first breakthrough for Essex half an hour into play this morning. Abel LBW for